Did you know that the term Dark Ages might just be one of history's biggest misnomers? It's an expression that conjures up images of a bleak, unenlightened time, sandwiched between the fall of the Roman Empire and the dawn of the Renaissance. But what if I told you that the medieval era, rather than being a period of decline, was actually filled with innovation, cultural richness, and complex societal structures? To fully understand this, we need to travel back to the period roughly between the 5th and the late 15th century. It's a vast span of time, and like any broad era, it had its highs and lows. The term Dark Ages was coined during the Renaissance by scholars who saw themselves as reviving the glories of classical antiquity. But this notion wasn't an accurate portrayal. Rather, it was a reflection of their particular perspective. First, let's talk about the Carolingian Renaissance. This was a period during the late 8th century and into the 9th century under the rule of the Frankish king Charlemagne and his successors. Far from dark, this era was a time of revival in art, culture, and intellectual pursuits. Charlemagne himself was a great patron of learning, and he understood the value of education and scholarly work. Under his reign, there was a significant increase in the establishment of schools, often within monasteries, which became the centers of learning. In addition to the Carolingian Renaissance, there were groundbreaking advancements in agricultural practices. During the early medieval period, innovations such as the heavy plow, the three-field crop rotation system, and the introduction of organized medieval agriculture and led to surplus production, supporting the growth of towns and trade. Moreover, while Europe experienced internal development, it's crucial to remember that the medieval world wasn't isolated. The Byzantine Empire, the Islamic Golden Age, and the connectivity through trade routes like the Silk Road played integral roles in the transmission of knowledge. The Islamic caliphates preserved many classical scientific and philosophical texts, which were later returned to Europe and helped spark the Renaissance itself. Medieval science, too, wasn't stagnant. Figures like Alhazen, often referred to as the father of modern optics, made significant contributions during what many consider the Dark Ages. His works laid the groundwork for future scientific development, illustrating that intellectual progress was truly cross-cultural. Architecture during the medieval times also defies the notion of darkness. The Gothic style, which rose during the High Middle Ages, is renowned for its grandeur and intricacy. Structures like Notre Dame de Paris, with its flying buttresses and towering spires, are testaments to the era's architectural innovation. The creation and development of stone castles also speak to the period's creativity in terms of design and function, addressing both aesthetic and defensive needs. Moreover, the medieval period was culturally rich, characterized by a lively tradition of storytelling and literature. From epic poems like Beowulf and the Song of Roland to the timeless tales of the Arthurian legends, this era was replete with narrative art that has continued to inspire through the ages. These stories were more than entertainment. They were means of transmitting values, history, and cultural norms. Now, let's set our sights on the medical field, which is often thought of as primitive during this era. It's true that the understanding of the human body was rudimentary compared to today, but medieval medicine was surprisingly diverse and sophisticated in its approach. Evolving through influences from Greek, Roman, and Arabic medicine, the medieval health practices included herbal remedies, surgical techniques, and a foundational belief in the balance of the humors, which dominated medical theory. The contribution of Arab scholars, such as Avicenna with his canon of medicine, laid extensive groundwork that remained authoritative for centuries. Trade and commerce thrived during this period as well. Contrary to the notion of economic stagnation, medieval towns and cities were bustling centers of trade. The Hanseatic League, a powerful economic and defensive alliance of merchant guilds and market towns in northwestern and central Europe, is a prime example. It facilitated the trade of goods across the North and Baltic seas, helping to connect people and cultures, spreading wealth, and sharing ideas. Education also saw remarkable growth. The rise of universities in the 12th and 13th centuries marked a significant development in the medieval period. Institutions like the University of Bologna and the University of Paris became centers of learning not just for Europe, but for all Western civilization. They introduced structured curricula and advanced degrees, influencing the shape of education to this day. Understanding the complexity of the feudal system is also essential to appreciating the societal dynamics of this era. While it could be described as hierarchical and rigid, it also fostered a sense of mutual obligation and community. Serfs were not merely peasants tied to the land. They were vital participants in local economies and had more rights and agency than often assumed. In times of war and peace, the chivalric code captivated the imagination of knights and commoners alike. This code was more than just a set of battlefield rules. It was an ethos that promoted honorable behavior, respect, and protection of those who couldn't protect themselves. Chivalry became a guiding principle not just in combat, but in the social interactions among the medieval nobility. Culinary arts also experienced innovation. Despite the limited range of ingredients compared to today, medieval cuisine was far from bland. Cooks employed a variety of spices and techniques to create intricate dishes, particularly for feasts. The discovery and import of new spices during this period symbolized the burgeoning global connections. The arts flourished in the Middle Ages, with the cathedral schools nurturing the talents of artists and musicians. The period saw the advent of Gregorian chants and the composition of music that would lay the groundwork for the polyphonic styles of later periods. Visual arts, too, with illuminated manuscripts and intricate embroidery, became methods of storytelling and spiritual reflection that reflected the values and innovation of the time. Even the much-maligned medieval justice system exhibited layers of sophistication and community involvement. It wasn't merely about harsh punishments, but included communal mediation and oaths, reflecting the era's emphasis on social cohesion. It's also essential to consider the environmental stewardship in medieval times. While they lacked modern environmental science, medieval communities often had sustainable practices, recognizing the necessity of balancing resource consumption with the health of the lands they relied upon. The spread of vernacular languages during this period represents another intellectual evolution. As Latin began to make way for native tongues in literature and record-keeping, regional cultures and identities became more pronounced. This linguistic shift not only democratized knowledge, but also laid the groundwork for the diverse tapestry of modern European languages. In technology, the medieval period was marked by innovation as well. The invention of the mechanical clock revolutionized timekeeping, illustrating the period's shift towards greater order and regulation. Similarly, the development of watermills and windmills transformed energy use and agricultural productivity. Understanding medieval art allows us to see how this era was far from a monolithic cultural desert. The vibrant color palettes and intricate designs of stained glass windows in cathedrals can be seen as both a spiritual journey and a testament to the era's artistic ambition, pushing beyond mere functionality to embody storytelling and faith. Beyond Europe, we must acknowledge that the medieval era was not a dark time globally. In Asia, for example, the Tang and Song dynasties in China were periods of remarkable innovation and cultural development. Paper money, gunpowder, and the magnetic compass were all products of this vibrant time frame, each eventually influencing societies far beyond Asia's borders. The perception of the medieval period as backward often overlooks the significant strides made in maritime expansion. Advancements in shipbuilding during this time, such as the creation of the cog and the carrack, were crucial precedents for the age of discovery. These ships enabled Europeans to eventually explore and connect with distant continents, shaping global history profoundly. Of course, no period in history is without its challenges. The medieval era had its share of strife, like the Black Death, which devastated populations but also led to profound social and economic transformations, contributing to the end of feudalism. The harsh realities faced during these times remind us that growth often comes through adaptation and change. We can gain a fuller appreciation of this era by understanding that many stereotypes come from oversimplified narratives. Recent historical scholarship has gradually shed light on the complex tapestry of the medieval period, challenging traditional views. Historians are uncovering the rich interconnections, the vibrant cultural exchanges, and the continuous thread of human innovation that contradict the idea of a stagnant dark age. We should also remember the endurance of oral traditions and the power of community. Stories, legends, and folklore from the medieval period have shaped cultures, providing entertainment and moral lessons that are still relevant today. These tales not only connect us to the past, but continue to influence modern storytelling in print, film, and other media. The realm of visual arts, with its lasting masterpieces still on display, speaks volumes about the aesthetic sensibilities of this time. Artisans and craftsmen of this era, often working under religious patronage, managed to produce works of astonishing beauty and detail, crafting a lasting legacy that still captivates us today. Lastly, if we delve into the personal lives of medieval people, we'll find a society rich in cultural diversity and personal expression. Medieval fairs, festivals, and gatherings served as vibrant communal events that brought together all walks of life. They were collective celebrations of life, community, and shared identity. In unraveling the complexities of the medieval era, we find a period teeming with life, innovation, and progress. From advancements in technology and agriculture to societal changes and cultural flourishing, the medieval era was anything but dark. It was a time of transformation, laying the foundations for many aspects of modern life that we value today. Indeed, this era's challenges and triumphs remind us of the resilience and creativity that lie at the core of human history. And there we have it, an era reconsidered, a vibrant time seen through a new lens. Follow History Oddities for more fascinating stories from the past.